All right, good morning. I woke up and we got a video. Test drive Unlimited Solar Crown launch dev diary and next steps. I was looking at some of the comments. Doesn't seem too good. We'll see. We're going to watch and react here, see what happens. They go over server issues, optimization, season 1, offline solo features, crossplay across region, AI, meta, compensation, conclusion, recap. So let's see what's going on, man. It's been what, I think like 15 days since they announced the patch. Pretty crazy. Let's go. We're in the English dubbed version. Guess we can still turn them on even though we're dubbed.
Bonjour à tous.
Hello everyone. Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown has been out for several days now, and we wanted to take a moment to talk with you to go over everything that's happened so far. A lot has happened. There have been plenty of questions raised by the player community, and we also encountered some launch issues, especially with the servers. We're aware of that. So we wanted to address it, talk about what's been happening, discuss the steps we're taking, and also give you an idea of what's coming very soon for Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. Regarding the launch of Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown, we experienced some network issues, despite our efforts to put in place as many safeguards as possible to ensure things would go smoothly. I worked on the previous test drive game, TDU2, and back then we faced major network problems. I really didn't want to go through that again.
Well,
so with Solar Crown, things are going better because players can access the game. Some had to try a few times, especially at the beginning, but they managed to get in. We had taken far more precautions than we did with the previous TDU, running a lot more tests.
Actually, we had beta phases set up specifically for that. Of course, they helped answer a lot of questions and we were able to fix a lot of things. I think the important point is that we made a lot of progress. There weren't as many issues as during the beta phases. But as we expected, we didn't anticipate having so many players.
They had, what, they released the numbers for PC, wasn't it like 250,000 people played the PC beta, and then they knew console was going to be more? Wouldn't you know right out of the gate how many people pre-order gold and silver? You knew how many people were going to play early access, so come on, man. Come on, man. I mean, maybe at launch, the day of launch, they weren't sure, but you had all the numbers. You know how many people pre-ordered. I don't know, man.
There are issues that only appear when a certain number of players are online, and that's probably what we couldn't foresee at that time. It's not so much that we were overwhelmed by success, because we were always prepared for a large number of players. But it did reveal problems that we couldn't detect before. So right now, that's what we're working on fixing. A lot of things will be coming with the week 1 patch, which is what we call it internally. It's essentially the patch that's coming very soon. It's going to address
15 days ago is coming very soon. Where is it, man? Look, they got what? Is it 5 days or is it 4 days until the season starts? Maybe they'll tell us in here when it's going to come, but they keep saying very soon. If they don't drop it before the season, man, the delayed season at that, oh my God. Come on, man. Let's see if they say anything.
A lot of server-side issues, as Anna mentioned. And during maintenance, we've already been able to fix some things server-side. But now we need to make bigger fixes that we call client-side correction. Those are issues in the game itself. So these are big changes that are coming soon. The closed beta definitely brought us a lot of valuable insights, but having a large number of players also had its own impact. Having so many players obviously brought us to a point where we had to address certain issues in real time, issues that we only could see once we reached that stage. And there are things we've been able to fix on the server side, which is what you've likely noticed during the maintenance periods, or when there were spontaneous
I mean, if anybody's actually played, every time they've done maintenance, it's gotten worse. I think some people, a very few amount of people, but like, look, we still don't have locations being fixed. they were supposed to fix the race disconnections. Everybody's still getting disconnected just as much as before. I'm still getting the same amount of game crashes. Like, nothing was fixed when they did this maintenance. That's just my opinion.
Connections, those sorts of things. These are issues we continue to work on, and it will be an ongoing process. However, most of the problems will be addressed with the first major patch, which fixes over 300 bugs. These bugs range across different areas, but a lot of them focus on server issues, problems with saving your progress and things like that. These are major pain points, small but impactful issues that can be very frustrating, especially when they keep happening during your game sessions. It will be fixed with this first patch.
Fucking 30 minutes or less.
Since the game's release, we've been gradually improving the server side, which is crucial for the game step by step. But this patch will fix a lot of in-game issues and bugs, and at the same time, it will be synchronized with a major server update that will also resolve many connection problems.
It better. It better.
It's really important to understand this, and this is super important, that even though we have this huge patch, there's a delay before we can get it. It needs to go through testing, which is a major step, and it also has to be approved by the console manufacturers, obviously, for them to give us the green light. Of course, we want to deliver it to you as quickly as possible, but it has to be tested to ensure the highest quality. That's just part of the development process.
So the patch doesn't just come with bug fixes, there are also improvements to the game.
Okay.
Of course. I think one of the biggest challenges right now is optimization.
Yeah, performance mode sucks on console, especially in hypercar. The FPS drops are insane. You can't even go into cockpit mode and in any car just because the FPS drops are crazy. I mean, the artifacting in the sky, all kinds of stuff, man. But that was in the beta. I don't know why that couldn't have been fixed. But hey, man.
As you've noticed, there are some small performance drops. Initially, with the first patch, we'll mainly focus on all consoles and platforms, but the emphasis will be on PC. Overall, you can expect a...
Did that really just say they're gonna... So, console has some huge issues. And, hold on, let's go back. Is optimization. Okay, and then they talk about...
As you've noticed, there are some small performance drops.
Console is horrible.
Initially, with the first patch, we'll mainly focus on all consoles and platforms, but the emphasis will be...
So they will focus on everything, but the emphasis will be on PC. Okay, all right. All right.
On PC. Overall, you can expect a better experience soon. A second patch will come a little later that will specifically address issues on the PS5. We know we are currently experiencing performance problems on the PS5, particularly with lower graphics quality. All of that will be included in a major patch for the PS5, which is separate from this first patch.
So that sucks. All this time has passed. And we're not going to get anything fixed now? That's crazy. Like, look, man, you guys have had betas all this time. And you can look at the Steam charts. I think the player base on Steam has dropped to like 300 players at the lowest point of the day, which is literally nothing. It seems like somebody put out an article saying like they average like 100,000 players a day. If Steam's only getting 1,500 players a day, there's no way they're getting 100,000 players. But that means the majority is on console. And if the majority is on console, you'd think they'd optimize console first, but they're focusing on PC. That's shitty that we're going to have to wait even longer for, because I play on PS5 and it's very rough. Not good. I mean, if it's taking them this long to get one patch out, it's going to take them, we're probably not going to get it till fucking Christmas Eve when Ibiza comes out. That's not...
Because it's obviously much larger, more involved, and requires more testing. But it is coming, and it's coming soon as well.
Soon for you guys is months. Come on. Weeks and months.
It'll come fairly quickly after the first patch.
Yes, exactly.
This patch comes with bug fixes, but it also coincides with the launch of the new season.
That's right.
The first season of the Solar Crown line.
Exactly. As you can see, everyone was a bit hyped about the arrival of the season and the dates in the Solo Hotel, because those were the dates we had planned. So, as we mentioned, the patch actually contains more than we initially anticipated, and it specifically fixes some things related to the season. With the slight delay we have on the patch, we'll align the season launch with it, so when the patch arrives, the season will also start, along with the live events, the Solo Crown Live.
Okay, so I think Wednesday at 3 a.m. my time is when the season starts, so they're going to drop it and do server maintenance then.
Which will kick off a Solo Crown competition. So it's a small delay, and you'll see that in the Solo Hotel, you'll need to take a little extra time and be patient to possibly win the new car.
Well, yes, to win a Solar Crown Live.
Exactly.
We've seen in the gameplay habits and feedback we've received from players that there's a somewhat frustrating aspect for some of them of always encountering other online players. We already noticed this phenomenon during the closed beta, where we made a change to the lobbies that allows players to validate the race immediately without having to wait. There was a long wait time, and players didn't want to wait for others and find themselves with players they weren't interested in racing with. So, we implemented this change, and it's in the game now. But we also have other modifications planned to further ease the ability for players to play the way they want.
Well, I think there are really things we want to maintain and others we want to evolve. I believe there are three main aspects. First, there's the end-of-life phase, moving the game toward this offline dimension where it can be delivered. Then there's the solo mode, as you mentioned, where we mainly want to focus on races because we know that the core gaming experience of TDU is, after all, racing. People join even though they enjoy free roam, etc., but to progress, they need to participate in races. So we want to make that experience as straightforward as possible. Thus, having a solo experience makes sense, and we want to offer that.
So a lot of people are upset because, I mean, if you think about it, all there is to do in this game is racing. There's no deliveries, there's no ride-alongs, there's no convoy, there's no anything. And I remember in one of the, I don't know, newsletters they used to do, that or somewhere it did say convoy and delivery missions, but clearly that's not here. So a lot of people are like, it's not a test drive game. I get it. Obviously, you know, they had to, I'm sure it was up to Nikon to be like, hey, it's been long enough, push it out, make some money, keep working on the game, even though it's not complete. I feel like that's just the state of probably where this is, because if it seems like if it was up to them, they wouldn't have put it out already. They would have delayed it. Yeah, a lot of people are upset that like all you can do is race and go get collectibles, and you know, I get it. I get it.
On the other end, the third aspect is that we are still in an MMO, and we want to maintain that MMO dimension in free roam and in the hubs. This means fostering player interactions and continuing to encourage that.
If we want to do it in the races, of course, we'll have the option to wait for other players. It really depends on each player's preferred style of play. We need to allow that flexibility in TDU. If someone prefers to progress in races in a more solo manner, they should be able to do that, and we'll be able to facilitate that soon.
Playing with friends.
Playing with your group of friends, or really waiting for PvP in races. And in any case, there are game modes like Time Attack that are solo experiences.
There's Rocket, which is definitely multiplayer.
And then there will be the first season of Solar Crown Live, which is
Everybody knows, especially if you've seen my streams, I cannot be in a group and start a race. I cannot be in a group and do anything. If I'm in a group, instant challenges don't work. If I'm in a group, races don't work. Even if I'm outside of a group and get more than like three, I think it's like once three people, boom, game crashes. I mean, they're talking about offline, but
PvP. We've also been asked whether the game will support crossplay. That's something we've considered since the early design.
We need crossplay. There's not enough players. region locked, no crossplay. There's just not, I mean, there's not enough players in the game at all, right? Let alone to lock it to all the regions. And, you know, they just called it an MMO. What MMO has 8-player lobbies? If I log into Final Fantasy 14, I'll see hundreds of people. You know what I mean? Obviously, that game's more popular. But, I mean, it's just crazy. I get, you know, has the bones of an MMO, but it's so restricted. It's not really an MMO. Like, anybody knows that's played, we can't get races. We sit there for ranked. Unless I get people to try to join me on stream, I've never seen a ranked race. I think I've seen one other person in my lobbies. It's just, sure, they did something with the last one where I can actually see people in the hotel, but outside of that, you know, if they're going to start the season and they don't fix any of the server shit, people are going to keep doing the same shitty tactics of, okay, I'm going to spam invites, and then as soon as the race starts, if it's you and one other person that you manage to get in from the lobby, which there are people doing and, you know, claiming they're the best at the game, which is fucking hilarious, on and off season. But you can literally, if, like, say I got somebody to join a ranked race with me, right? If the race starts, you take off, that person backs out, I get full credit, get my points, and that person that dropped out doesn't lose any points. And that's how you can farm ranked. And hopefully they fix that, because I've also done some actual ranked races, and I got 3rd place and lost 47 points, but I got 1st place and only won 25. The majority, so it seems like 1st, 2nd, and 3rd should get, you would think they would get points, like 25 points, maybe like 15 points, and then like 5 points or 10 or something, or like 25, 10, and 5, something. But it seems like even if you're on the podium, you're losing points. So if I lost a few races in a row, it would take me like 3-4 times the amount of races to get back. And I just feel like it's going to be insanely hard to keep your ranked points up, or I don't know. It just seems like a weird system. But with right now, people are cheesing the system, and yeah, I mean, you shouldn't be able to, if you back out of a race, you should lose points. But right now, you back out of a race, you don't lose anything, and that other person is now racing by themselves, and they get full credit. I doubt they'll address that, because they probably don't know about it, but I don't know. Let's see.
Stages of the game. It's not really a technical problem, because technically the player data from different platforms, whether on PC or console.
Oh, Oz posted in my Discord last night. They're on PC, and they saw my one of our Discord members, Carl, and they're on PS5. So somehow Oz's PC leader was playing on PC, and somehow could see the PS5 leaderboards, and then asked somebody on PS5 to go look, and then they saw Oz's name. So somehow there's a bug right now where PC could see PS5 and PS5 could see PC. So they're saying crossplay is impossible, but it's happening via a bug. This game's all over the place, man.
Can be mixed fairly easily. The challenge lies more in respecting certain constraints, such as between consoles and PC. There are many factors we need to be mindful
cheaters.
of. For now, we prefer to concentrate all our efforts on the server side to ensure that everything works well in the main game. And then we'll study the technique.
Yeah, because honestly, like, there's a channel out there making a ton of cheats for this game, and a ton of people are using the cheats, and it's like, I wouldn't want crossplay opened up just so I would be put with, you know, people that are cheating. Because right now on console, it doesn't seem like anybody's doing it. But, yeah.
Aspects of crossplay in more depth.
And you mentioned the idea of cross-platform. I know there's also an issue related to cross-region play that keeps coming up. If you have a friend in Canada and you live in Europe and want to play together, right now that's not possible. That's not something we've definitely shut down. It's just that there are technical constraints behind it. What we wanted was primarily to ensure competition by region and also to provide a fair play experience for players in the same region. For example, there will be a problem if you're playing in Europe against Americans. If you find yourself in the same race, you can be sure that you'll lag, and the racing conditions will be absolutely terrible. To ensure a really good experience, we prefer to keep people in the same region and compete in ranked matches and races simply to have a cool experience for everyone, limited to specific...
I mean, it makes sense, right, if it's supposed to be, you know, solar competition, because you're all going to have lag if you're... But, I mean, there's other games that do it, and it's not that bad, you know what I mean? You can easily have somebody in your same region that has a bad internet connection and have worse lag than somebody that was in Europe, you know what I mean?
Specific regions, to create large regions in which players are. This isn't a debate that's completely closed. We may allow cross-region play, but it might create sessions where players are isolated to play together. They won't disturb others, and of course, they won't have access to ranked mode. These are things we're thinking about, but right now that's not the priority. However, you see the principle, because I think it's important to understand that our goal, like with crossplay, is always to present something of high quality, and to understand its constraints, making sure that it works in our regions. And then, regarding smaller constraints like that, of course, we'll address them.
Well, because connections are relatively fast now.
Of course.
But we realize that when we connect continents...
Yes.
We quickly experience lag. We've tested it, and yeah, it's better not to do it for now because
well, it's not
the experience isn't enjoyable.
Plus, it's one of the issues you encountered at the beginning of at launch. There were servers that were a bit too far apart, which led to response issues. And that creates problems with, well, simply server performance. And you were getting stuck in certain areas, etc. So we had to redivide these regions, and in the end, you see, it's issues that causes many other small problems. And that's why we shouldn't rush these subjects. We need to think carefully about them, and it's always to provide the best possible experience. So it's really important for you to understand that we're trying to have a stable game, and now we're going to try to move to the next level, which means making the game better and better by putting building blocks together to construct a massive castle.
It's true that we've received quite a bit of feedback on the AI in the game, particularly regarding difficulty. How it works in TDU is that when you first encounter the AI, during the onboarding phase, for example, they're not very strong. Everyone has noticed this. I think they're quite easy to beat.
You guys already know my opinion on this.
We have a ranking system that assesses the player's level, and as you progress in races, when you're playing against a lot of AI in a solo mode, the difficulty of the opponents in the races adjusts to the player's level. So when you're in first place, because it's easy at the beginning and you keep finishing first, eventually you end up facing expert level AI, and it becomes much more challenging to win.
In fact, yeah, that's exactly it. We essentially do the same thing as what happens in ranked matches. It's an ELO score, and you're racing against the AI based on your position in the race.
Yeah, the ELO system is the ranking system we use in chess.
Look, everybody, look, I've gotten a lot of shit for these videos. It's mainly just the Reddit people crying. Anytime anybody's gone to Reddit and posts about the AI, they're immediately shut down by these whining crybabies. And look, man, I get it. Not everybody's going to be good, but like, just practice and get better, man. That's all it takes. Like, instead of whining, like, so many people are just like calling me a cocky asshole and blah, blah, blah. And this because I have an opinion. Like, the AI is not that bad. You can watch all 140 hours of my playthrough are on my channel. You can see that very rarely does the AI give me issues. And when it does, guess what? It pushes me. I'm like, oh shit, they're coming up on me. All right, time to like focus in. I'm like, all right, now I got to hit this corner better. I can't break. I got to get like right in. I got to slide around this corner. I got to beat them. And it pushes you. But like, if all these people are going to keep crying about the AI and then they make them easier, guess what? Like, there's already races. I DNF them all the time. I finish 30 seconds ahead, 40 seconds ahead, DNF. Very rarely do they keep up with me, right? And it's like they said, like, when you're in first, yeah, they're going to be better. You know, like, I went back and played Gran Turismo 4. Like, they're most of the time right on you, especially if you have a car that's not, I mean, I'm using the randomizer, right? My car's a little faster. But, I mean, for the most part, you want them to be right there with you. Now, I've seen a lot of people talk about if they have the FPS over 60, especially on PC, that they rubber band. I've never experienced rubber banding. Never. There's some OP cars, like look at like the Lotus Evija. That thing, you can have 2,000 horsepower to 750 performance rating. That's insane. That thing should not be 750. It should be 950, 1,000. You know what I mean? So that's allowed in that Ruby Crown Jewel race, and nothing can compete with that. So yeah, situations like that, great. The AI is too strong because they're using a car that just shouldn't have that much power. But like, when you think about, at the end of the day, just get better. Just get better at the game. Try to be better. I like when the AI starts coming up and like, it makes me like, oh shit, like I gotta focus. I gotta beat the AI. It becomes like fun because the racing is hard. But when I'm always out in front, it's boring, right? But people just want to bitch at me. Not everybody's as good as you. Well, then get better. Everything in life, man. Like, you can't just have everything handed to you. You got to go out there. You got to work. You got to train. You got to study. You know what I mean? You can't just go be a doctor. You got to take years and study. Okay? It's a video game. Take an hour or two. To even take 30 minutes. Replay the track a few times. Try to optimize your car. Bam. Easy. Done. You'll win. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's go.
For example,
it's the same system.
It allows us to assess the level of all players relative to one another quite simply and quickly.
Exactly.
The stronger you are, the fewer points you earn when you win against someone weaker, and vice versa. It's a system used in chess, very smart, that quickly evaluates the differences in players' levels. This is a system we use for ranked matches among players to evaluate player levels and help them progress through the leagues. But it's also a system we use somewhat behind the scenes to assess AI.
Interesting that they said that. So maybe that's why we're not seeing as many ranked matches, because it's almost like, think of like Gran Turismo 7, how they have, you know, like the ranking system. It's trying to be somewhat like that, where it tries to keep players that are around your skill level with you. But I don't know, man.
Levels in relation to players.
Because the issues are relatively the same, we want to provide a challenging experience for players that's tailored to their level. It's exactly what we do in multiplayer, providing an experience suited to each player's level. We wouldn't match diamonds with bronzes. That would make absolutely no sense. Similarly, we want to make sure you're playing against AI that always keep things interesting. So that there's a challenge.
So that there's
a challenge, in my opinion.
You hear that? Everybody crying? They want you to have a challenge. And that's how it should be. You know, too many of these games are easy. All right? Learn the tracks. Like, you can't just like do a race and be like, oh, I lost. Okay, that was your first time doing the track. Do it again. Do it again. Learn how to take corners better. Learn how to cut across the sidewalk. You know what I mean? I could go on a tangent, man. I won't do it. I won't do it.
Yes, that's right. Although maybe they're a bit too challenging.
No, they're not.
Right now we have a slight balancing issue, but it's mainly because there are many aspects of the AI we can improve. First, they're extremely aggressive, which makes them ultra-competitive.
Very rarely are they extremely aggressive. You want to talk about aggressive? Car X Street. They were bopping you off the road, hitting your quarter panel, spinning you out.
Especially because they'll bulldoze through the starting grid and dominate corners, as they want to pass and stay in their lanes. You've seen that they don't pay attention to you, because they're focused on being the best they can be. This is particularly true at the expert level.
I know a lot of people are like, look, they said they're too hard. They're even admitting it. Yeah, come on, man. Outsmart them. Outsmart them. Get in front of them. Beat them in the corner. Easy.
That can be a bit hardcore.
It can be a bit hardcore. Currently, there's a parameter we've dialed back at first because we wanted to ensure our AI performs well, so we kept it. This is something that will be corrected gradually over the patches. As we've communicated, there's an initial patch that will adjust the balancing parameters to simplify the difficulty of the master AI. But not just that, all AI will be rebalanced. we'll also be looking at aggressiveness, which will be adjusted too. What's really funny and probably the most frequently reported issue is that some cars, like a Bugatti at full speed, are taking a corner perfectly. This is because we have a parameter in the AI that allows them to say, okay, you can take this turn at maximum speed with a perfectly allowed drift angle. No human on Earth can do that at that speed with their eyes. So we've basically created Unbeatable AI, and we're sorry about that.
I mean, there are times where they see them take a corner. I'm like, all right, and I've already talked about that. Like, sure, they definitely need. I'm not saying they don't need balancing, but they're not that bad, right? And if they, whatever, y'all are gonna be like, look, Kingdom, look, they're saying it's too hard. I told you. Whatever, man. Gotta be better, right? Come on.
There you go.
I think now it's easier to go the other way.
I've seen players beat them.
Their AIs.
I've seen players beat them. A lot of us can. A lot of us can. And when you bump them down, guess what? Game's gonna be boring because we're just gonna be basically doing time attacks the whole time with ourselves.
So we have players who are robots. That's something else.
Guess I'm a robot, boys.
They're machines. And then there's also the perception. Many people reported that there are two CV passing us.
I've seen that, it's true.
While we're in an Audi TT, it feels strange.
It feels strange. I was in an Alpine, but it was boosted, you know, the 2CV. It was upgraded.
Because there are things made for players that shouldn't apply to the AIs because, well, it's fun for the players. But right now, the AIs, well, they're trying to be competitive. And they take just about every vehicle. That's also something we'll be working on.
Yeah, it's true that the upgrades on the 2CVs are crazy. They're really intense, mental.
Yeah.
So it is weird to be overtaken by a 2CV. But you can upgrade it in the game. The player can upgrade their 2CV to make it much more powerful than the... But this is an important topic because the players who played in the first days of the game, well, we observed that the first players had what we call metas, which are cars that are clearly better than the others in their category.
Okay, what are we gonna do about them?
So, well, that's an important point. Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown is an MMO, and as an MMO, we will need to make adjustments to the game. Sometimes we call it nerfs, things like that.
Buffs.
Buffs, exactly. We'll rebalance the game. It's important to communicate this to our players, since it's part of the life cycle of MMOs. At some point, certain cars will be stronger, and after an upgrade, they might be less strong, or better balanced compared to other cars. So, that talks about the cars as they are in the game, but also the upgrades that might make some cars too powerful. So this will be part of the changes made over the course of the game's updates.
Of course.
Game updates are super important. It's a crucial concept in MMOs to have a game.
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever played an MMO, like, usually every expansion or, you know, right after an expansion, they'll do job adjustments. Like some jobs get buffs, some jobs get nerfs. They'll do a little bit more damage or they'll take damage away and they try to balance the game. It's nothing new.
That adapts based on what the player experiences in the game.
And we're not against the principle of meta. It's also because the experience is challenging and because people are looking for tricks to win against the AI or other players, which is really interesting. It's exactly what we wanted to create, players who are so engaged that they search for what the metagame is. However, it needs to be shaken up.
I agree.
It needs to be.
It needs to change, be corrected, modified, and evolve over time. Maybe sometimes the Audi TT will change categories, or maybe it will have slightly less powerful upgrades one season. Maybe next time it will be for the Bentley. We might also nerf the AWD because we know that in all racing games, AWD performs better. Center differential, four-wheel drive on the starting grid, it's really significant.
It grips well.
It really performs well on the corner exits. They face fewer constraints in the game. Perhaps the race restrictions also need to change a bit to allow for races between RWD and AWD.
Okay, so it seems they're aware of just how OP their all-wheel drive cars are. I mean, also the issue is the game's always wet. I'm curious to see if they talk about it, right? But once you get a wet race, rear-wheel drive's out the window, dude. Especially the hypercars, it's a wrap. So if they have like rear-wheel drive races and then all-wheel drive races, that would shake it up. I think different categories for sure would help. But it seems like they're aware of all this stuff. So, you know, eventually we'll get it in the game.
To improve the balancing within the races themselves, there are plenty of options. We're not closing any doors,
it's
and I
essential
think
we need to make changes, just like with the Paladins.
it's like the Paladins, and that will change every season, of course.
Yeah,
Plus, we're getting more and more cars, so there will be new balancing.
Like how they talk about World of Warcraft, because I mean that's what I was just talking about. Final Fantasy, World of Warcraft. You know, you gotta change it up. You can't have one class. It's way better.
so following
Oh,
the
here we go.
problems we had with the servers at the game's launch, well, we've corrected a lot of issues and hopefully
I think 95% of the community is still having the same issues. So they need to realize that and understand that the game's still very broken for a lot of us.
we won't have any more. We've fixed all the network problems, but that said, for the players who were there on the first days,
No, you did not fix all the network problems. What are they talking about?
it was complicated, and we want to offer them compensation.
Yeah, well, a nice compensation. I think that right now we don't exactly know what we want to do. We're still discussing it among ourselves. The goal is, what takes time right now is not so much to give it to you, but to provide you with something that matches what happened with the servers. Of course, it won't be 1 million solo coins. We know that would just ruin your experience. We're looking for something that makes sense in a TDU context, so that's coming.
They talked about compensation a few days after launch. It's been like 20 days almost, and they still don't know what they want to do. That's crazy. And like people are like, we're gonna get money. You're not gonna get money. They already said they weren't gonna give money. They weren't gonna give a car. I don't know. It's either gonna be a stupid sticker pack that nobody uses, or an outfit. I don't even know.
And then, well, there's also content that's coming. Right now, we're only at the first season, and the first season hasn't even started yet. So there are going to be a lot of things happening in the first season. Live events, the Solo Crown Live, so a lot of content is coming. And then behind that, well, Ibiza.
Ibiza in season 2. The arrival of Ibiza, season 3. We've already talked about that in the last interview on the last video we made. Season 2, Ibiza. Season 3, the clan war. Season 4, the casino, the return of the casino. There's a lot of content coming to the game, so that's cool.
And we're really happy to see that a lot of players are currently having a lot of fun with TDU. And we wanted to thank you because it's really cool to see that you're playing the game the way we imagined it. It's truly amazing. I've seen some incredible screenshots and gameplay sessions. I've seen some streamers I follow regularly. They don't know this, but they're just monsters at driving, and they try hard every day.
I don't know if they watch me. I gotta think maybe they do. And like, if you guys are watching, look, I'm gonna give you some criticism just because I want the game to be better, right? Obviously. But I mean, as you know, like, I do like the game, obviously. I think everybody knows that, but I still get crashes. Like, there's some days every 20 minutes I get a hard crash on the PS5. I'm still disconnected from races. People are having issues now where they load into the game on console and there's no AI, there's no traffic, there's no real people. I mean, I have to put out some tune videos. It seems like on the PS5 only, the rear and the front, like, suspension and the roll bars and stuff are completely flipped as to what it is on PC. I mean, still getting disconnected from races, middle of the race, especially on the Crown Jewels. But yeah, man, we just want the game to be good, you know? So we gotta give some feedback. And of course we're gonna get frustrated when, you know, we try to play for a few hours and it's just disconnected from race. We lose our progress, we don't get our money. And then, you know, when you only have 5 times to do a race in the day and you get disconnected, that counts. So now, you know, if I can farm the Ruby Crown Jewel race 5 times a day, get 400 some odd thousand per, and then I get disconnected, well, guess what? I just lost out on that 400K and I gotta wait till the next day for it to reset. But you know what I mean? I mean, I'll take it though. I mean, look, I'm decent at racing games, and I know I give a lot of people some other shit, but I got good because I applied myself and I've been trying. I'm not the best out there. There's plenty of guys well above me, but you know, but look, man, we just want the game to do well. And if they can just get the servers to where the locations save, like my Ferrari dealership, my Lambo dealership, my meeting points, some gas stations, if I can get those working and some people can get their save errors fixed and we can not get disconnected from races and rank can actually work well, we're going to be good going on. So we'll see what this patch does. I mean, 300 is huge. That's a huge patch. So I'm praying that it goes smooth and, you know, boys, because I know there's a lot of people that come watch, and I know a lot of people want this game to do well and want it to, you know, see it evolve over time. And I know a lot of people are, I mean, we've seen the numbers. A lot of people are getting fed up. So either this patch is going to be huge and fix the game and people are going to flock back, or it's going to flop and people are just going to not touch it till like a full year, man. So we'll see.
It's exactly the image of TDU, the cruising that's happening.
It's really satisfying to find that in the game. We had connection problems, that's for sure, at the launch of the game. But thankfully, there are quite a few players who managed to play a lot. And what I felt is that they really loved the game.
We do.
They spent a lot of time in it, truly experiencing natural progression, a lot of enjoyment, and a strong desire to advance. But also for those who know, at least from their comments, they found that test drive unlimited spirit again. And honestly, that's part of our goals. And we at Kyloton are very proud to have succeeded in recreating that feeling, that sense of being in a TDU, because it's a somewhat unique sensation. It's truly rewarding to see players feel that and love it.
I hope
and
so,
the experience
man.
will only get better as the seasons go by.
I'm worried about the first
we'll gradually
season.
add more.
Yes, we also have quite a few updates and improvements planned for the game. But in fact, we're already working on what comes next. We're listening and seeing what the players expect. We have some surprises too, because there are things we want to add to the game. We're not going to recreate TDU2, of course. We're going to improve the game with things that
See, that's I think something I see a lot from a lot of, like, you know, old fans are like, where's this, where's that, like, I get it, like, those things made TDU, and I think some of the things should come back, but I do think they should focus on some newer things, maybe evolve. I mean, just look at what they want to do with the houses. Like, the houses aren't going to come till well after the first year's done, but they want to make it more than what it was before, and I'm all for that, you know what I mean? But I don't know, man, they just gotta get it together. This first patch has to be good. It has to be.
Existed, but we'll enhance those aspects and add things that didn't exist before. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing that and testing everything in the game.
And there are things that aren't even announced yet that will be added over time, like small quality of life improvements, etc. So that's cool.
One thing I really want to see is, because there's so many different races where you got to change your PR level, you got to like min-max your car to get the most power, change the suspension, change some other things. Because as you know, we made a video about it. If you let the game automatically decrease your PR, it always takes away horsepower, and there's other things you can do. And I think being able to save our driving modes, attach I guess what parts you have to that driving mode would be really, really cool. I don't know how difficult that is, but because I know, like, when I made the video about, like, oh, okay, well, get good, change this, try to be better at the game, practice. A lot of people were mad about that, and it's like, all right, well, I don't have the time to go change everything. It's like, it doesn't take that long. You know what I mean? Like, the game is designed for you to mix match parts and change your driving modes and all that. So take a minute and go do it, and you'll have a better experience. But being able to save those like loadouts with the performance parts on top, like I have driving modes that's, you know, 750 PR, 900 PR, but I can't attach my parts. So I have a tune for it, but then when I want to go do one of those races, I got to go to the workshop, change the parts, then go back. And then if I want to do a higher race, I got to go back to the workshop, change it up. That does get very cumbersome, you know? So recap. Okay. First major patch coming in the next few days. 300 plus bug fixes, major server connection improvements, first performance and optimization upgrades. We won't know until we get the patch notes, but I'm praying it's good. I'm praying it fixes at least, you know, we'll see. Official start of season 1 in the next few days. Free solar pass for everyone. We get the Audi e-tron. Beginning of the Solar Crown competition. I'm worried about ranked. Introduction of live events. Okay. I'm about that. Like daily live events and stuff. Upcoming patches. Ongoing server and optimization improvements. Kind of a given, but you know, they got to tell you. First major graphical enhancements for the PS5 version. AI rebalancing and meta balancing. Oh, so this first ranked season is not going to have any AI or meta rebalancing. I know my face is kind of in the way here. I can do this. Yeah, AI balancing, meta balancing. So we're not going to get that on the first season. So people might be upset about that. So you're going to have to get the 918 Spider, the Huracan, the R8, Audi TT, the Taycan, and the Buggy to do ranked. Nothing else is going to keep up. But not to mention the numerous content-related updates. Okay, well, there it is, boys. There it is. Dear players, this is only the beginning of our story. Thank you for your continuous support, the KT Racing and Nakon teams. Well, I made a 23.5-minute video into a 47.5-minute video, but you know, I had to talk on some things, but you know the truth. Goddamn sorry, boys, a long ass video. Subscribe, come back, see you on the next one.